Hello, how are we all doing? Welcome to another episode of the Arlington podcast. In this episode, I am going to talk about my own personal experiment that I've just started with Retatrutide and MOTS-c. I'm planning on doing a 60-day experiment with MOTS-c and Retatrutide. I may extend it if it's going well, but the purpose of it is just to kind of break through a plateau that I keep hitting a sticking point for the biggest part of the year. I'd say I keep getting stuck at the same point and doing reverse diets, reversing out and adding some weight and then going back into a diet. And every time I get to this exact point, I just get stuck again. So if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I'm trying a slightly different approach to break through this plateau. So I've started an experiment, 60-day experiment with MOTS-c and Retatrutide to see if I could break this plateau that I keep hitting. The sticking point on the scales, 13 stone 7, that I just, body does not like to go below. Even years ago when I was in my 20s and I'd done a lot of martial arts, Muay Thai, all that type of thing. Used to walk around about this weight, about 85 kilo. That was where my body liked to sit. I've always had quite a stubborn metabolism. I've always really struggled to get lean. And then when I'm lean, I've always struggled to stay lean. But I've always had a sluggish metabolism anyway. So when you add in years and years and years of long endurance training and over dieting and stupid diets, and I've probably made my metabolic rate a lot worse over the years. My metabolism's probably adapted to the years of training and diet, and it makes it even harder now at my age to break through this plateau. But anyways, it's January. Long story short, I lost a lot of weight last year. Came down from 15 stone 10 to 13 stone 7. In January, I actually got as light as 13 stone 4, tell a lie, a couple of days. But I think 3 days that I weighed that on the scale, I was just dehydrated as well. So around 13 stone 7 was where my body liked to sit. In January, I decided to keep pushing, even though I'd been dieting for like 6 months. I should have really went to a maintenance phase for a couple of months and then went back into it. But I kept pushing, trying to get below this mark. And I got to the point where I was just getting more fatigued, carrying a bit of water and visibly dropping muscles. When I got to about May, I decided to reverse out that diet, go to slightly above maintenance, and I gained about 16 pounds. Now, when I went back into my diet again, I dropped from 14 stone 8, down at 13 stone 7, no bother, like that just fell back off as the minute I started dieting. But the minute I got 13 stone 7 again, I got stuck. So my automatic reaction in this scenario is to push harder with training and diet, training and activity. It's just a red liner. But now at my age, I'm getting about 6 to 10 weeks in and I'm getting severe sort of chronic fatigue, brain fog. I can't even be bothered doing anything at all. That's one of the reasons behind MOTS-c. So MOTS-c is a mitochondrial peptide. It's sometimes used for fat loss. People seem to be getting a lot of fat loss benefits out of it, but that is not the reason that I have decided to use it. The reason that I want to trial it is because it is directly involved in energy production, mitochondrial energy production. So your mitochondria are like small factories inside your cells that create energy, that directly create energy. So by them working better, it also promotes mitochondrial biogenesis as well, which are the creation of new mitochondria within the cell. So in essence, the more of them you've got and the more efficiently your mitochondria run, then the more efficiently your body can produce energy. So that has carryover into lots of different things: improved exercise tolerance, improved ability to train harder, improved sort of brain fog, energy levels just in general. And that is one of the real issues that I'm having just now. I'm getting about 6 weeks into a training block and then I'm just feeling really sort of tired, fatigued and tons of brain fog. So there is some studies and things. All the studies that have been done on this have been done as an experimental peptide, and all the studies that have been done on it have been done in animal models. But there is talk of it being able to help like chronic fatigue and ME and that type of thing. So it's from the fatigue standpoint that I want to use it to see if it helps me be more productive with things like this, things like YouTube, and being able to keep up with like high training demands. But in the moment, I've pulled my training demands back. I'll cover that in a minute. But so Retatrutide, so that's the reason behind MOTS-c. So hopefully over the next 6 to 10 weeks, I'm able to manage my fatigue levels a lot better, and hopefully they disappear, to be honest. Hopefully that feeling I get every few weeks that I can't even think straight, never mind train, and I still manage to train, still manage to push myself through the training, but every other task in my life seems like a chore. So hopefully able to eradicate that completely with the use of MOTS-c. And if it helps me become even more insulin sensitive and lose extra body fat, then happy days. But the fat loss isn't the main reason that I want to use it. It's more for the cognitive function, the energy production, the brain fog, and the general overall sort of energy levels and well-being. That's what I'm hoping. Retatrutide is the 3rd generation of GLP-1s. So, quick history. GLP-1 were things like semaglutide, which is brand name Ozempic, and Wegovy. GLP was Mounjaro. So tirzepatide was Mounjaro. And this newest one, Retatrutide, again, it is an experimental peptide, still in phase 3 clinical trials, but it's the 3rd generation of a GLP. So as well as blunting your appetite and preventing fat storage at the fat cell. Right, I'll try that again. Retatrutide is a 3rd generation GLP-1 agonist, which just means with each one of these, they're getting slightly better. Ozempic, so semaglutide, was the 1st generation of them. There was actually liraglutide and things before that, but the first one that became really popular was semaglutide. I worked mainly on your GLP-1. Moving on a few years, when tirzepatide came about, that is a brand name Mounjaro, that is a GLP-1 and a GIP agonist. So it works on 2 of these metabolic pathways. Retatrutide is the 3rd generation, which now works on 3 metabolic pathways. So in addition to blunting your appetite and preventing fat storage, the 3rd metabolic pathway actually increases thermogenesis and triggers your body to use fat as fuel, essentially. Without going too deep into it, I'm going to do another separate video where I do a deep dive on sort of both of these and the science behind them. But without going too much into it. So why I'm using that sort of appetite management, increased sort of energy expenditure, and improved nutrient partitioning, which just means when I'm eating food around training so that it goes directly to recovery and muscle gain rather than being stored as fat. So Retatrutide I've already been using for the past 8 weeks or so, but whenever I've used any of these, I was the same when I was using tirzepatide last year. I've always just used them at a microdose, so below the medical dosing. It's always been a microdose for me. This next 8 weeks, because I keep getting stuck at the same plateau, I'm going to use 3 milligram of Retatrutide alongside 3 milligram of MOTS-c on training days. The 3 milligram of Retatrutide in the studies that have been done on Reta, 3 milligram is just above the starting medical dose. So the starting participants at 2 milligram, I'll be running 3 milligram. Because I think I've squeezed about as much out of these as I possibly can at a microdose. And as I say, it's just to boost through this plateau and get even leaner, because I've been carrying far too much body fat for far too many years, and now in my early 40s I want to get as lean and healthy as I possibly can. So alongside using these peptides for the next 60 days, I am going to train less as well. Now that sounds like backwards when I'm trying to get extra fat off, but my automatic reaction is, when I plateau, is to just train harder, just work harder. It's always been the same. And I've just done like a hard block of training and a lot of activity, a lot of steps. I was walking like 6-7 miles a day. I was eating 2,100 calories. and I was training 5 days a week, training every body part twice a week, and I still didn't drop a pound. Now, on paper, if I had a client doing that, they would have probably faded it away in obscurity, but my metabolism is that stubborn that it doesn't even sound believable, but it's fact. I was on Retatrutide, I was managing my appetite, I was doing tons of walking, and I just started to get tired, more tired, more tired, more tired, and the scale wasn't moving. And that could be down to metabolic adaptation, adaptive thermogenesis. As I say, I've got a theory that doing all these steps isn't that stressful for me because I've always been in endurance training as well. So the calorie burn I'll get out of it in comparison, a lot like my watch or calorie trackers say, probably won't be as good as it looks, sort of thing. So we've all seen the boxers and the old boxers and boxing clubs and things that still run miles a day, they still hit the bag every week, and they're carrying far more body weight than they should be as they get older. Now, it's just because their metabolism adapts to years and years and years of doing the same things. I believe that when I push that hard, my body gets that stressed, that I actually have the opposite effect. So I'll probably make myself more insulin resistant in my body because it's like high cortisol and things like that. All these stress hormones, it just shuts down the fat loss because I've tried to push through this, and believe me, I've tried. So I'm now pulling back to 3 days a week training. I will probably go stir crazy only training 3 days a week, but I'm going to train for 1 hour, 3 days a week. Today's workout was bang on, 1 hour. I done a pool workout. I done sort of Dorian Yates style, if you like, warmed up 1 set to failure on each exercise. And then I'd done 5 intervals on the rower and 3 1-minute bag rounds. And that was me, an hour. It actually feels weird even being in and out the gym that quick. And I'm used to training 5, 6 days a week, whether it be weights or a mixture of weights and running, or even rocking with walking with a weighted vest or whatever. So training only 3 days a week will be hard. The focus is to use the extra time for extra YouTube and things like that as well. And hopefully the less stressed my body is, that my body fat starts to diminish, So that's the plan, and that's the reasoning behind it. So what's my nutrition going to look like? On training days, I'm going to have basically a carb cycle. On training days, I'll have carbs, mainly around my workout, and then I'll go back to low carb later in the evening. And on non-training days, I will fast, maybe at lunchtime or sort of 1, 2 o'clock, because I'll just be in the house anyway. I'll fast, and then I'll have like a low carb day. It'll be mainly proteins and fats, some carbs if I really feel my blood sugar's dropping or whatever. But it'll be basically a high day on training day, low day, high, low, high, low. I'll refeed if I need to, but my body fat is that stubborn that I'll probably not need to for a couple of weeks. My metabolism's just always been the same, really, really, really stubborn. And I'm hoping with this use of these 2 peptides and a more sensible training structure that my energy increases, my fatigue levels diminish, and my training improves, and just sort of feel sharper and more on the ball for doing this type of stuff as well. So what will I be tracking? I'll be tracking my weight, my waist circumference, strength and sort of performance in the gym, sleep quality, morning energy, brain fog levels, muscle soreness and joint pain, and weekly productivity, i.e. client work and how much of this I'm getting done, etc. So far in week 1 of the MOTS-c, I have noticed less of a need for caffeine. Right, I'm gonna backtrack. The first week on MOTS-c, this is what I think I'm noticing, because this has also been paired up with a couple of weeks of less training to sort of get rid of that fatigue feeling that I was feeling the other week. So the past few mornings, I've been feeling less of a need for caffeine. I've been more energetic. I've had sharper thinking and less brain fog. I have had caffeine, but not as much as I usually do. And I've been sleeping great as well. But as I say, I've started this and paired it up with more rest. So it's kind of hard to tell at the moment, because I'm only a few days in, exactly what it's doing. I do feel like I'm getting leaner, so I feel like I will break the plateau that I've been trying to break for months. I feel like I'll break it this week or next week. But we shall see. But anyway, so far so good. I'm feeling more energetic and I'm sleeping better and less need for caffeine, bright, sharper sort of focus and things. So it seems to be doing exactly what it's meant to. So what will success look like for me during this? So success will look like breaking through the body fat plateau without burning up, without doing excessive amounts of training, excessive amounts of volume that I normally like to do, but I've been doing that and it's not been working. So I need to try something else. If none changes, none changes. So more rest, more recovery, less stress, and hopefully the body fat will start moving. That's why I always preach to people as well. So I'd be as well put my money where my mouth is and actually training less. The thing with me in training is I like to train. I've always loved to train hard. I train a lot. And I've also always been in martial arts, endurance training and things, as well as lifting weights and bodybuilding style training too. So when you're doing all of that, it's a recipe for constantly burning yourself out anyway. So I'm also looking to increase strength on more volume. I don't know if I'll train low volume forever, because even today it felt a bit, I don't know, just felt a bit like I wasn't doing enough, even though I was training every set to failure, even though at the end of the session I was like gubbed. But during it didn't feel like enough work, but then that's my psychological attachment, I think, to exercise. So also what success look like: improve daily energy and cognition, and reduce the chronic fatigue and energy crashes that I'm getting every 6 to 10 weeks without fail. I've had a long issue with back injury, and it always seems to coincide with back pain and excessive muscle pain that my central nervous system seems to absolutely crash as well. And then when I get that feeling, I actually can't think straight at all. Can't even think straight enough to write a social media post. And that is when I tend to disappear from social media for a week or two. And then I'll come back once I've sort of the brain fog is cleared. So hopefully the MOTS-c clears that up. I've got high hopes for it anyway, from what I've read about it. Another benefit I've noticed, I just remembered, is I feel like I've had less need for painkillers as well. As I say, my back's been done for years. The past week, again, I don't know if it's been the MOTS-c, which is something it's meant to do, help with chronic fatigue, pain levels and things, inflammation and things, or it's just down to I'm having more rest. So, because more rest will do the same thing. I'll bring inflammation down, it'll reduce fatigue and things like that as well. So it's a bit early to tell, but it looks like it's doing what I want it to do already. So this is my MOTS-c Retatrutide log. I'll be updating this weekly here on YouTube, and I'll be updating it in my school community as well. If you would like to join me and follow this along, drop me a DM, or if you're finding us on YouTube, the link should be underneath the video. And thank you very much, guys. If you made it this far on the video, thank you. I will speak to you all soon. Cheers, guys.